Thank you for tuning in to Community TV 1. I'm your community host, Martin Bird. We got a great community calendar for this next week. I know you all are waiting on that Pacquiao-Mayweather fight, but the Deltas of Collier County are having a fabulous event. It's called the Multicultural Festival at the Immokalee Community Park. Go check them out. That begins around 10 a.m. and it'll go to about 6 p.m. this evening. Once again, that's in Immokalee Community Park in Immokalee, Florida. That's hosted by the Collier County Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta. Next Saturday, Lee Memorial Hospital, in collaboration with a couple of other entities at Mount Hermon Ministries, is hosting a Living with Diabetes seminar. A special guest, former major leaguer Lou Brock will be there to look at you, take a couple look at some issues concerning living with diabetes. Make sure you check out that event. That starts at 9 a.m. next Saturday. If you have an event that you want the community to know about, email me, martin@communitytv1.com, so we can showcase your event on our community calendar. Once again, thank you for tuning in to CTV. This has been your community calendar. Stay tuned for Pillars of Success as I sit down with Dr. William L. Glover.
You ever wanted to know what's going on in and around your community? CommunityTV1.com is your answer. Go ahead, log on to www.communitytv1.com and get your info on.
Hello, I am Attorney Joe North, and I want to once again congratulate the Delta Sigma Theta sorority on all of the great work that it is doing in the communities across this nation. You know, I have been handling personal injury cases for 25 years, and people ask me questions each and every day about personal injury cases. These are some of their questions.
If someone is in a car accident, how does he or she know that they have a case?
You may have a case if the other car was at fault and you were injured because of their fault. But even if you are partially at fault, if the other car is also partially at fault, then you may still have a case. But the best thing to do, just give me a call. Let's talk about it.
What types of compensation may be available in a personal injury case?
In a personal injury case, whether we're talking about a slip and fall case or a car accident case, you may be entitled to payments for lost wages, medical bills, and pain and suffering. And we can get that either by settlement or taking your case to trial.
Where's your office located?
My main office is located in Fort Myers, a city in which I am proud to say I was born and raised. I also have an office in Fort Lauderdale, but my motto is, briefcase will travel. I handle cases throughout the entire state. I go wherever I am needed.
One more question. How much do you charge to handle a personal injury case?
More good news. My clients do not pay me any attorney's fees or costs unless we win. So give me a call. Call Attorney Joe North.
Crystal Joy Sound System Rentals and Professional Recording Studio is at your service. In association with Community TV 1, the only community-based multimedia studio. Crystal Joy offers professional subs, main tops, monitors, power amps, professional mics, and a full soundproof multi-room studio specializing in Christian singers, groups, and bands. If you are talented and think you've got what it takes, we're looking for you to join our record label, Crystal Joy Records. For more information, contact 239-771-2560.
I have been handling personal injury cases for 25 years, and people ask me questions each and every day about personal injury cases. These are some of their questions.
If someone is in a car accident, how does he or she know that they have a case?
You may have a case if the other car was at fault and you were injured because of their fault. But even if you are partially at fault, if the other car is also partially at fault, then you may still have a case. But the best thing to do, just give me a call. Let's talk about it.
What types of compensation may be available in a personal injury case?
In a personal injury case, whether we're talking about a slip and fall case or a car accident case, you may be entitled to payments for lost wages, medical bills, and pain and suffering. And we can get that either by settlement or taking your case to trial.
Where's your office located?
My main office is located in Fort Myers, a city in which I am proud to say I was born and raised. I also have an office in Fort Lauderdale, but my motto is, briefcase will travel. I handle cases throughout the entire state. I go wherever I am needed.
One more question. How much do you charge to handle a personal injury case?
More good news. My clients do not pay me any attorney's fees or costs unless we win. So give me a call. Call Attorney Joe North.
Good morning. I want to thank you for tuning in to Pillars of Success. I am your host, Martin Bird. From Ferguson, Missouri, down to Baltimore, Maryland, up to New York, down here even in Fort Myers, Florida. Cries of police brutality has caused public arrests, has forced people into the streets to cry out against what they have seen as suppression in their communities. Groups like the Dream Defenders have formed in Tallahassee to bring organization to these cries. Luckily today I get to sit here with a community leader who's fighting against these issues of suppression in our community, Dr. William L. Glover. Thank you very much for being here with us, Dr. Glover.
Thank you for having me here, Martin.
Dr. Glover, you are a founding member and an officer of Lee Interfaith for Empowerment.
Yes, I am.
All right, tell us a little bit about what Lee Interfaith for Empowerment is.
Lee Interfaith for Empowerment acronym is LIFE, and LIFE was founded about 5 years ago. It is a collaboration of 13 interfaith churches, and we were founded around the idea of identifying systemic justice issues in our community and working with officials to find solutions and to implement those solutions to create a more fair and just community.
And that's this is a group of churches, and you've been doing it for about 5 years or so, I believe?
5 years. We have had what we call 4 Nehemiah actions to date, ranging from dealing with the Lee District school system in helping them streamline their bullying program, and also to adjust their student code of conduct in regards to how students are sent to the alternative learning centers. Mm-hmm. We've also worked with the mental health community in helping increase the number of children receive mental health services. We also have worked with law enforcement in increasing the number of civil citations for juvenile first offenders. And most recently, something we're very excited about is working with the city on fair chance hiring practices.
All right. We're going to stick with those last 2 issues. I know it's very important for this current time we are in this nation, with issues like Ferguson and Baltimore currently in an uproar of sorts. The last issue last year was civil citations. I was able to share a post by Life. How the civil citations in Lee County had increased from, I think, around 18% to about 51%.
Right up around 51%. What we discovered was that there are statutes on the book that allow first-time youthful offenders for non-felony offenses, rather than receiving arrest, to receive a civil citation. Mm-hmm. And that option was severely underutilized in Lee County. So we began to research that statute and interface with the various law enforcement agencies and to work with them to get a commitment to increase the use of civil citations 100% of the time when youths are eligible.
I know, we kind of know what we're talking about. For someone that doesn't know, what exactly is a civil citation?
Essentially, when a young person commits a crime, mm-hmm. a misdemeanor, it has to be a misdemeanor, the officer can choose to arrest that individual, which means that they're booked and they have a criminal record, they go to juvenile detention, and that record follows them for the rest of their lives. That can impact getting into college, the military, employment. The civil citation is a program where if it is a misdemeanor and it is a first-time offense, rather than receive an arrest, that young person will be issued a citation, civil citation, where they will have to do some restitution, perhaps some community service, but they're kept out of the judicial system, which is very important.
Excellent. That second chance type program. If they never get in, give them that second opportunity and make better decisions. We all, young and old,
Absolutely. Well, as young people, I can certainly, as a young person, I certainly look back and remember that I made some stupid decisions that could have been considered misdemeanors, that could have derailed my life. The citation is an acknowledgement that a youthful indiscretion ought not to derail a young person's life. It is a second chance, and we want to make certain that all young people who are eligible would have that opportunity to learn from their mistakes and not have to pay for it for the rest of their lives. And we've also found in our research that if we can keep a young person out of the judicial system, then the likelihood of them entering as an adult decreases greatly.
And sorry, I lost my train.
It's quite all right.
As far as, is that just a county thing, city thing?
No, the good news about this is that the civil citation is statewide. It is actually a state statute signed by the governor and the state legislature. So it is on the books. And there are, at the district level, individuals who oversee. What we discovered was that the authorities who are supposed to implement this program weren't really working and cooperating together. So we were a voice that said, hey, these laws are on the book. Young people can benefit from this. Let's get everybody together, implement it properly so that we can keep young people who are deserving out of the criminal judicial system.
So law was already there. Life said, hey, you got the law. Let's hold you accountable to actually use the law, enforce the law.
Absolutely. And I want to commend Police Chief Doug Baker, Sheriff Scott, and Cape Coral Police Department as well. At various times, we were around the table with all of those law enforcement agencies. And to date, they all are on board, and the civil citation numbers have gone up greatly in the county.
So wherever you live, Cape Coral, Fort Myers, the unincorporated Lee County, we got officers, and the civil citations is up to the discretion of the officers.
Discretion of the officers, but I'm here and I'm glad we're having this conversation because I think we need to create more awareness amongst parents and teens. Well, obviously the first desire is for teens to make good choices and not to position themselves where they're having to deal with law enforcement in that way. But if poor choices are made and it's a misdemeanor, then this option is there. So sometimes if parents have awareness and teens have awareness, they can request it because we're still educating certain officers and making certain that it's implemented universally.
Knowledge of the law. And this year's issue was that past Nehemiah action, fair hiring practices.
Yes, and this comes close to home, being clergy, working in the community. And fair chance hiring practices deals with the fact of the collateral effect of felony offenses. It used to be that if a person committed a crime, even a felony, they would serve their time, come home to their community, and if they stay on the right path, they're able to get employment and rebuild their lives. The felony laws are written in such a way that once a person does their time, they come home, they're what we call collateral effects of felony offenses, like hindrances to getting jobs, working for the government, can't participate in the military, lose your right to vote. So the person in effect is penalized for the rest of their lives.
Yes.
And one manifestation of that with employers is that there's a little box on a lot of applications that ask if you have committed a felony offense. And if an individual checks that box, which they should, we want people to be honest, then oftentimes they're not even given an interview for the potential employer to get to know them as a person. If they fail to check that box and background check comes back later, then most times than not, they're fired because they were dishonest. So it's a catch-22 that locks people out of employment, and I have an issue with it because it not only locks people out of employment, but it keeps people trapped in an underclass status. Because if you keep a family, people are faced with desperate choices, and they often make desperate decisions and commit crimes and then get sent back to jail.
You just put it, perfect wording. It creates a cycle. You did the crime, okay? We send you to jail. You do your time. Now, go do differently. But now I put up all those roadblocks for you. Can't get a job. So what do? You go back to doing what you know you can do. You go back to selling drugs. You go back to robbing. You go back to stealing. So it makes perfect sense to say, take the box. And that doesn't stop the employee from doing a background check, obviously.
Absolutely not. It doesn't force the employer to hire anybody they don't want to hire.
Yeah.
The bottom line is you still have to have a skill set that employer needs. You still have to have the personality and character traits that an employer is looking for. What removing the box will do is to give a potential candidate an opportunity to sit with a potential employer,
Yes.
have an interview, and if the employer has some concerns about that individual's past, they can discuss it and judge for themselves whether or not this individual is a match for their company or not. For the African American community, statistics show that the greatest deterrent to recidivism, and that is people reoffending and going back to jail, is employment. As a pastor, I cannot tell you the number of young men and women I've worked with over the years who end up going back to the life they were trying to escape because they could not find work. So this particular practice and these particular felony laws are particularly unjust, and I think people of good conscience all over the country should be setting an alarm because we're creating a permanent underclass.
Yes.
And really, the riots in Baltimore is symptomatic of these problems because you've got a large group of urban people who are locked out of employment opportunity due to bad choices and criminal records, and they are hopeless, and they are responding in hopeless ways.
It was funny you brought that up. I was watching coverage on Baltimore, and they had a group of young men from Carver High School, and they have a great program at Carver where they train them in a skill. They have a skill, and the young men's reply was, I have it, but I don't have an opportunity to do anything with it because of the roadblocks that are set up,
Absolutely.
lack of experience. whatever it may
And
be.
that young man's story is repeated hundreds of times, thousands of times. We have to hear those stories because when you start talking about giving felons an opportunity, a lot of people feel you're advocating giving people something for nothing.
Yes.
And so that it's always just a real negative connotation. But we have people who have made mistakes, who have learned from their mistakes, who have educated themselves, who've gotten credentialing, who want to be a part of mainstream society, who want to be tax-paying, working, productive citizens. And those individuals are locked into this cycle. So this practice makes no sense when it comes to trying to improve our community because there's a lot of talent that employers cannot access. I read a story recently in the Washington Post of a young lady who made a mistake early, educated herself, became a PhD. And before the age of being able to Google anybody and find out anything you wanted to, she got out and was a practicing psychologist, okay, with a hospital. And got a higher paying job, got hired, left her former job. When the company ran the background check in this age of being able to Google and find out anything about anybody, somebody researched and discovered she had this felony in her past. It had happened so long ago, and she had such a resume as a working professional, she wasn't even mindful to bring this up. It was no longer part of her life.
Yes.
And when they found it, they fired her.
Wow.
And she's not been able to get employment since that time. And there are a lot of stories like that, and that's what makes this practice so unjust.
That definitely puts it in context. She had a PhD.
PhD.
Career going on, find a felony online, like you said, Google. Some people you put in their name, the first thing you see is their mug shot.
Exactly.
Lee County Sheriff Office. And we talked about, the person can get their record sealed, they can get it expunged, but the internet, it's still out there.
Absolutely.
No matter what they do. It shows
Absolutely.
the importance of the box. And what the powers I know being involved in life, you address certain groups, like the civil citations, you address the city police department,
Yes.
the Lee County Sheriff Office.
Yes.
What groups were you addressing when it came to?
Well,
Banning the
we
box?
started with our municipalities, primarily the city of Fort Myers and city of Cape Coral. And the city of Cape Coral, mayor and council people could not respond and attend Nehemiah Action. They had a very important council meeting going on.
Yes.
The city of Fort Myers did respond. Mayor Henderson was there, and two of the council people. But there was some question about the Florida Sunshine statute in terms of a public meeting and how many officials will be present if you're going to be discussing anything that might come up in council chambers. So the two council people dismissed themselves. So Mayor Henderson was there representing the city of Fort Myers.
We're going to stop you right there. We're going to take a commercial break. We'll be right back to find out what was the effect of that meeting. Stay tuned.
Hello, I am Attorney Joe North, and I want to once again congratulate the Delta Sigma Theta sorority on all of the great work that it is doing in the communities across this nation. You know, I have been handling personal injury cases for 25 years, and people ask me questions each and every day about personal injury cases. These are some of their questions.
If someone is in a car accident, how does he or she know that they have a case?
You may have a case if the other car was at fault and you were injured because of their fault. But even if you are partially at fault, if the other car is also partially at fault, then you may still have a case. But the best thing to do, just give me a call. Let's talk about it.
What types of compensation may be available in a personal injury case?
In a personal injury case, whether we're talking about a slip and fall case or a car accident case, you may be entitled to payments for lost wages, medical bills, and pain and suffering. And we can get that either by settlement or taking your case to trial.
Where's your office located?
My main office is located in Fort Myers, a city in which I am proud to say I was born and raised. I also have an office in Fort Lauderdale, but my motto is, briefcase will travel. I handle cases throughout the entire state. I go wherever I am needed.
One more question. How much do you charge to handle a personal injury case?
More good news. My clients do not pay me any attorney's fees or costs unless we win. So give me a call. Call Attorney Joe North.
Crystal Joy Sound System Rentals and Professional Recording Studio is at your service. In association with Community TV One, the only community-based multimedia studio. Crystal Joy offers professional subs, main tops, monitors, power amps, professional mics, and a full soundproof multi-room studio specializing in Christian singers, groups, and bands. If you are talented and think you've got what it takes, we're looking for you to join our record label, Crystal Joy Records. For more information, contact 239-771-2560.
I have been handling personal injury cases for 25 years, and people ask me questions each and every day about personal injury cases. These are some of their questions.
If someone is in a car accident, how does he or she know that they have a case?
You may have a case if the other car was at fault and you were injured because of their fault. But even if you are partially at fault, if the other car is also partially at fault, then you may still have a case. But the best thing to do, just give me a call. Let's talk about it.
What types of compensation may be available in a personal injury case?
In a personal injury case, whether we're talking about a slip and fall case or a car accident case, you may be entitled to payments for lost wages, medical bills, and pain and suffering. And we can get that either by settlement or taking your case to trial.
Where's your office located?
My main office is located in Fort Myers, a city in which I am proud to say I was born and raised. I also have an office in Fort Lauderdale, but my motto is, briefcase will travel. I handle cases throughout the entire state. I go wherever I am needed.
One more question. How much do you charge to handle a personal injury case?
More good news. My clients do not pay me any attorney's fees or costs unless we win. So give me a call. Call Attorney Joe North.
All right, this is Pillar Success. We are sitting here today with Dr. Glover. the pastor of Mount Hermon Ministries and about 5 other different organizations he's a part of.
Involved in a lot.
We were sitting talking about the fair hiring practices. We were picking up at the Nehemiah Action for the Life organization.
Yes, and I left off saying that Mayor Randy Henderson, whom I want to commend for being present and representing the city, and we asked the mayor if he would be willing to take this issue to the council to begin to research fair hiring practices in other communities.
Yes.
Across the country, there are like 14 states and hundreds of cities who have gone to a ban-the-box movement and fair hiring practices. The mayor agreed to take this to the council for them to begin to research it. He also agreed to follow up with the Life organization and its representatives, its follow-up committee upon which I serve, within 90 days. And based on that research, move towards bringing a vote to City Council for the city itself to consider adopting fair chance hiring practices.
I know Life is big on follow-ups.
Yes,
Big
on follow-ups, and I think the issue here is we're not a protest movement.
Yes.
We're not a marching movement. We focus on making systemic changes, which means that there will fundamentally be a change in the statute, the law, the policy, the practice. Because if we can change the practice, then lives will be touched and impacted. Through the church, every now and then I'll have a job open up and I might be able to hire 1 or 2 people, who have felony backgrounds. So that's our little way of helping.
Yeah.
But if we can get this huge organization and enterprise, the city, with how many ever employees it has, and also get it to work with its vendors to ban that box, then suddenly these people who are locked out of employment have all of these potential options for which to apply if and assuming they have the skill sets that are needed. So we focus on policies and practices that will lead to some systemic changes.
That would definitely be a huge effect in this area. The city, its vendors, the people that are contracting out with the cities to ban that box, and the city's a huge employer in the area, the different government entities, of course.
Absolutely, and of course we would continue the work to move to other municipalities, other governmental entities, but this is a start, and if we can get some success here, we'll have traction to say, hey, this is a good policy, it's been adopted locally, let's do this at other levels.
I think that's the great thing about Life. It's just not like, I know little Andrew's funeral, you talked about not just addressing the outside issue, but giving it a cure to the issue, not just we deal with the effects of the disease.
Absolutely. Not just dealing with the symptoms, but dealing with the systemic causes. And I think that's where the community has to move to. We're so accustomed to responding to the symptoms. There are loud voices, there are rallies, there are marches, there are protests. But very few people or organizations are equipped to do the work, to do the research, to interface with officials on a sustained basis, to bring solutions and not just problems. And that's what makes the Life organization different, and that's what has allowed us to have the kinds of success that we have had.
For Nehemiah Actions, you hit the point of saying bringing solutions.
Absolutely.
Not confrontational, you're bringing the solutions for them.
And I'm glad you used the word confrontation, because I think we have to teach people there is a difference between confrontation and tension.
Yeah.
Very little is done without tension. Sometimes people don't want to change because they have their own best interests. But the tension is necessary towards change. And that tension does not necessarily have to be confrontational or disrespectful. But tension oftentimes is necessary, and is a good thing if it is controlled, if it is directed and used in a positive way.
Definitely. People, politicians respond to dealing with the government. Politicians respond to 2 things mainly: votes and money.
Absolutely. and you're so right. And we call it numbers. Lots of money or lots of votes or potential votes. And what life has recognized is we may not have a lot of money, but our congregations have lots of people.
Yes.
And our goal is to turn out our average worship attendance one day for justice at our Nehemiah Action. And at our most recent Nehemiah Action, we had 1,211 residents from Lee County turn out to say, hey, we 1,200 people believe that this is a direction the city should go in helping to improve our community. And those voices are heard and taken note of.
Definitely being there, actually speaking to one of the councilmen after, the effect was felt.
Great.
So we know life is going to continue to move on that issue and continue to keep on keeping on.
Absolutely.
As you say at your rallies.
Yes.
And I know you're a part of another organization, 21st Century Collaboration.
Yes. Yes, I'm a board member on the 21st Century Collaboration, which is a smaller organization of about 8 churches and social service entities in primarily what we would call the Dunbar, East Fort Myers area, zip codes 33916, 01, and 05. And we have come together to deal with specific issues that affect people in those communities, which tend to be underserved. And we have an initiative going on right now. We're working with law enforcement to create greater communication and cooperation. And coming up here real soon, we're going to be sponsoring community-wide focus groups entitled Law Enforcement and the Community. And the purpose of these focus groups is to establish constructive dialogue in the community in regards to how we're policed, to learn from the community used to help train officers who serve the community. We're working with, it's a 21st Century Collaboration, the Diversity Office of Lee Memorial Hospital, and the Fort Myers Police Department.
The format of this is going to be like a town hall, or I know they did the cops with a coffee at a point in time.
Yes, and I want to encourage everybody to check out this month's issue of the Community Press.
Okay.
Because in the Community Press, I write an article entitled Law Enforcement and the Community, and I outline what's going to be taking place on May the 30th between the hours of 9 a.m. and 2 p.m. They're going to be focus groups at 17 locations throughout our community. And those focus groups are going to be managed by trained facilitators. Okay. And we're hoping to have between 10 and 15 people at each one of those focus groups. And those 10 to 15 people, we will take them through a process of identifying what the concerns are, having them weigh in on possible solutions, and we will gather that information and use that information again for training, and also use it to see where we need to educate our community in regards to some police practices that are necessary but misunderstood.
Definitely. I know the city has a police review board, but this takes it to the other level. The community, who the police is actually serving, is it serve and protect, has a say in what's going on. You have that two-way communication, so they understand the police and the community. The police understands the community. Absolutely.
It's to create cultural competency, okay, cultural understanding in regards to the police, to increase their cultural competency in regards to minority culture, but also for the minority community to increase their cultural competency of police culture. These two cultures right now are like diabolically opposed to each other.
Definitely.
And one of the things we recognize in what we try to seek is mutual self-interest. And the community has an interest, police department has, officers have an interest. And a mutual interest that both the police have and the community have is safety. Right now, when a police officer goes into a minority community, his self-interest is to get out safely, to get home to his family. For minority communities, especially in this current environment, when we encounter law enforcement, our primary issue is to get out of that encounter safely. Okay, so that's a mutual self-interest that we can begin to have some dialogue around. You want to be safe, we want to be safe. How do we go about assuring that officers are safe and assuring that residents who engage officers for whatever reason leave that engagement safe as well. So we're focused on trying to identify mutual self-interest, finding out what the problems are, and how we can deal with them in a constructive way, because we know, as is happening around the country, we are one incident away from something happening in our own community spilling over into rioting and violence. So this is a proactive way to let people vent and let people have a voice and weigh in on policing in our community. And I want to commend Chief Baker and Fort Myers Police Department. They have been partners with this all the way. And Chief has lended his support. He really embraces this, is working with us to make this happen. And so the only thing that's missing at this point is the community. And I want to talk to everybody who's really listening to my voice. This really is an opportunity to have a say in a constructive environment. Not just barbershop talk, or talk underneath the tree with your buddies, but in an environment where your voice will be heard by people who have something to help make, who have the influence to help make some changes. Those focus groups are going to take place again on May the 30th from 9 to 2. They're about an hour and a half. There will be 3 sessions, so you can pick your time slot. Check out the advertisement, the full page advertisement in the community press, which comes out towards the end of next month.
17 locations, so there's going to be plenty of branches for people to pop
Absolutely. There will be one within a mile of where you live. And also might add, we want to hear from our youth also. We have 2 locations for young people, where there will be young people who meet. And that's, ages 13 to 20, 21. Okay? Nations Association will be a location for young people.
All right.
And also the Damon Education Building on the campus of Mount Hermon Ministries will be a location for young people. So I want to encourage parents, get your teens to one of these locations so that they can weigh in on this issue, because they have a very unique perspective that needs to be heard as well.
Definitely make sure we're going to get that all on Facebook. And we've talked a lot about criminal justice issues, but you're a pastor.
Yes, I am.
All right, as a proud member of Mount Hermon Ministries, I've showed my bias. Community tent revival.
Yes. Well, as we have been discussing, myself and the church, we're involved in a lot of initiatives to try to bring improvement to our community. But as a pastor, I recognize that we're physical creatures, so we have to deal with our physical needs. We're mental, emotional creatures, so we have to deal with our social needs as well. And we've talked about that at great length. But we're also spiritual beings. And I wanted to do something that would impact the spiritual climate of our community. So Mount Hermon Church has launched what we're calling a 2015 Neighborhood Tent Revival Tour. We have identified seven neighborhoods in our community. And over the course of the next 7 months, the 4th Saturday of every month, we're going into that neighborhood and we're spending an entire day. The first thing we're doing, we're going in the mornings, we're knocking on doors, we're meeting our neighbors, and we're just seeking to pray with people, finding out, what's pressing you, what in life is weighing on you. We want to have prayer with you. We want you to know that God cares. And when we pray these prayers, we believe God is going to answer at some point. So we did that in Sable Palm, in Landis East.
Change the name.
Yes, Landis East and Harlem Lakes last weekend. We knocked on over 300 doors. Awesome. We had the privilege of praying with about 176 people. Wow. And I got to tell you, prayer is so non-threatening, so disarming, and people innately know they need God's help to just survive and to make it. And so we have that time of prayer. And midday, in every community, we're going to have a community social between the hours of 1 and 3. And at the community social, we have activities for young people. We have health literature information that we're distributing to find out how to maintain your health and get help if you are having issues. And we have giveaways for adults, household goods, bags and baskets of household goods. And we have food and music for everybody. And we had a couple hundred people attend the social. And that was so much fun, just getting to know people and just have fun with them. And the children were just wonderful. And then we conclude that day in the community with old-fashioned tent revival. There's great music, prayers for the community and families, and of course I get the privilege of preaching a message and hopefully touching people's heart. And I want everyone to know that's not just a Mount Hermon thing, that's a community thing, and everybody's welcome to follow the tent from community to community. You can check the itinerary out on our website, www.mounthermonministries.org, or check the Community Press paper out this week because there's an advertisement with the schedule in it.
You got a lot going on.
Yes.
We're going to have you back, Pastor Glover.
I would love to come back and follow up on some of these things.
I appreciate you coming on. We're going to keep the conversation going. The community focus groups, make sure you check out the Community Press. Get one of those focus groups. May 25th, this month.
For
the Community Tent Revival.
The Community Tent Revival, I believe it's the 23rd. It's the
23rd.
It's the fourth Saturday. But that itinerary is in the Community Press and online. The focus groups are May the 30th.
May the 30th, May 23rd. Every day of the week. Dr. Glover
May the 9th, the diabetes.
Yeah, May the 9th, being hosted by Mount Hermon Ministries. There's always something going on positive in the community. Mount Hermon Ministry has a great pastor in Dr. Glover. Once again, I want to thank you for coming on. We'll have you back on soon.
Thank you, Martin.
This has been CTV1 Pillars of Success. I'm your host, Martin Bird. Thanks for tuning in.
You ever wanted to know what's going on in and around your community? CommunityTV1.com is your answer. Go ahead, log on to www.communitytv1.com and get your info on.
Hello, I am Attorney Joe North, and I want to once again congratulate the Delta Sigma Theta sorority on all of the great work that it is doing in the communities across this nation. You know, I have been handling personal injury cases for 25 years, and people ask me questions each and every day about personal injury cases. These are some of their questions.
If someone is in a car accident, how does he or she know that they have a case?
You may have a case if the other car was at fault and you were injured because of their fault. But even if you are partially at fault, if the other car is also partially at fault, then you may still have a case. But the best thing to do, just give me a call. Let's talk about it.
What types of compensation may be available in a personal injury case?
In a personal injury case, whether we're talking about a slip and fall case or a car accident case, you may be entitled to payments for lost wages, medical bills, and pain and suffering. And we can get that either by settlement or taking your case to trial.
Where's your office located?
My main office is located in Fort Myers, a city in which I am proud to say I was born and raised. I also have an office in Fort Lauderdale, but my motto is, briefcase will travel. I handle cases throughout the entire state. I go wherever I am needed.
One more question. How much do you charge to handle a personal injury case?
More good news. My clients do not pay me any attorney's fees or costs unless we win. So give me a call. Call Attorney Joe North.